Okay, let's go. Happy Wednesday. We have a video for, excuse me, making noise. I gotta make sure that this mic is plugged in. Here we go. We have a video for, if you're a subscriber, go ahead and comment below. I already did an unboxing for this. This is if you want to have some headphones in your life, this is one you might want. Comment below if you're a subscriber. I'm gonna go ahead and send this to somebody. This is called the Kiwi Ears Ellipse. It is a 50mm set. The set that they released previously, this is about $70. This is showing me yen for some reason, but I believe this is about $70 or $60 to $70. They released another set a couple weeks ago, and it's called The Division. And you can see I've got different pads on it because it sounded great the way it was, but I listen to this every day. This is what I watch, YouTube videos and all kinds of stuff. This is my, it used to be Zeos's collab because it had a lot of bass, but it was very comfortable. I threw pads on that as well. You know, rumbles and all that low frequency, I like to get that back to an extent, and this is actually better than Zeos's set. I think it punches harder. It's a 40mm driver. This set that we're talking about today is a 50mm driver. And the build quality on this is really nice. And by nice, I mean, it's not like the Void, which is something that I'm surprised even made it to market and was sold to the public. This is not on a level like that as far as build quality goes. You can check the unboxing for that. So again, it is they're saying studio grade sound. So let's go ahead and take a look at the graphs. And this is done on my mic. So it looks different than maybe some other places, but as one relates to the other, it's accurate because it's off of the same measuring system in all devices. If you looked at this quickly, you would think the Division has more bass, and you'd be completely right. It is kind of impressive looking at it that with a 40mm driver they put that tuck in there, and the tuck's at 300, not 150 or 200, which would take away from the bass. That has a very hard hitting low frequency, and then it's got a really typical it looks like kind of a lot of the 2DD sets that came out, starting with the Truth Ear stuff and others. The Division is a very great set, and I'm going to do a lot of videos over the course of a year because for $50 and a lot of people around the world, that's a lot of money. It's a really good set if you like your low end, and it really doesn't, okay, it does bother the vocals, but I'm cool with it. And you can see where it's cutting. It's really your perception of the mids that's being put away. The mids are there, but there's just so much bass, but I love it. And then it's got a boosted upper mid so you can hear vocals and stuff like that. The Ellipse that we're talking about today, you see, has a much more steady sub bass, mid bass, mids. It just is pretty much the amplitude, the amount of energy being put into those frequencies is pretty similar to the other. The sub bass is not much different than the mid bass. There's really not a lot of roll off, and mid bass to the mids, it's a warm set kind of, but not bassy, and then it's got a more subdued upper mids. Now this is graph sniffing, and if you're familiar with graphs, you would say, okay, this sounds like it's going to be a set that puts vocals maybe a little bit back in the mix. Whether or not that's something you like is, I guess, up to taste. So instead of being a bassy set that's encroaching into the mids and maybe taking away the pristine, I don't know why you'd buy the Division if you were into like a mid-centric set of headphones. Its specialty is that it's $50, it slams hard, and it's overall pretty good tuning if that's what you're looking for. And there's not a lot of competition for it, really. The Ellipse is doing more of what a lot of other sets are doing, and that's kind of more balanced with a little bit of take away from the upper mids. Let's go ahead and talk about music now. I think starting with low frequency 808 drops, stuff from like Wu-Tang Clan, old NWA, Public Enemy. More modern would be Kendrick Lamar, A$AP Rocky, even some like J. Cole stuff. I don't mean to mention him, but he's got some dope tracks. Stuff like that. This isn't really. It's a 50mm open back, and it does okay, but I would definitely grab the Division if I was wanting to just chill out. If I wanted to listen to something and not be overwhelmed by the low frequency because I'm just trying to focus on something, like maybe if I was doing like a live video chat with somebody and I'm listening to them, I would definitely use the set that we're talking about today, which is the Ellipse, because it's not putting that any low frequency sound just comes bombing in. This would be a much more stable, like a monitor type of replay. So it's not really built for the 808 drops. 4 and 5 string bass guitar, a lot of tunings like this, going all the way back to some old Sonys, don't really have problems with that. If you like the sub bass boosted with a tuck, that's going to be a problem. If you like a bass slide, which I prefer, that really doesn't do too much damage to bass guitar, and it makes it sound more like it's anchoring and doing the rhythm section, and I actually prefer that more than the tuck. I like the glide. But the flat presentation doesn't really skew. It just makes it sound maybe a little bit back in the mix compared to other listens of sets that you might prefer if you like a little bit more bass. I'm talking about like EJ07, just a little. If that's your thing, you might find it to be somewhat lacking, but its accuracy to the instrument itself sounds pretty good to me. Personally, I prefer a little bit more. Remember, it's also open back, so that's going to add to that a little bit. But that comes into a good thing later on. The kick drum by Bonham is very much attached to the 808 Roland drops. When one is really powerful, then the kick drum usually, bass drum is. And when it's not for the kick drum. So Bonham's drum doesn't sound very authoritative. It's a kick drum, obviously. I can pick that up clearly. But it doesn't sound as powerful as I'd like it to be. Now, as we move into the vocals, this is starting to do better with its little quirks. Lane Staley, Chris Cornell, Nina doing the cover of Blondie. Again, I repeat the same songs across all videos so that they're apples to apples. What I said in one video relates to another video. This related to The Division. You can check both videos because I'm using both songs when I talk about them. The Division was clearly, by its graph and by its listen, a very bass dominant set. I think vocals sound fine, but they're kind of in a fun way. Their accuracy they're clearly warmed up, both male and female, while this isn't. And this would be probably more, if you're listening to podcasts, I'm getting better at the stream of thought stuff. I'm not wasting as much of your time as I used to. And you feel like, oh, you're definitely wasting my time. I wasted more of it before. This would be more for like podcasts, music, some listening, and really for podcasts where you're trying to listen to some dialogue going on with maybe some stuff going on between. It does that good because the vocals they're seemingly fine. In a production like a rock and roll set with a bassist, a guitarist, a drummer, and a vocalist, the vocals do sound a little bit back in the mix compared to what you maybe usually like, if you like what I like as far as tuning goes. It's a little bit back, and that's graph sniffing, but that actually is what it sounds like. It sounds like a podcast set. Not bad, but it's definitely not putting vocals, especially females, in that sweet spot that I would like. As we get to harmonics and overtones, there is a peak that you can see right there that's around between 6 and 8K, which is a sensitive area for a lot of people. I'm not picking that up as really being a sharp thing. It's actually giving some life to the harmonics. It's energizing. If that wasn't there, I think it would be a problem. That's probably a good thing, actually. I haven't EQ'd that down to see what it would be like if that was just really pretty much like a flat tuning, but I think that kind of needs that. It's got energy that goes all the way off. Harmonics of cymbals, rides and crashes, guitars, electric and acoustic with or without distortion pedals, pulls and plucks and releases, picks, keyboards, ELO citation, the greatest hits, just all kinds of energy. I don't have any problem with this because it's not really putting that over the top and masking everything else. Somebody asked me about a previous set, and I don't remember which one it is, and they were asking me about, it was the Soft Ears S, and I didn't do the other impedance measurement because it had more upper mids treble, and they said maybe if you played with the upper mids treble, that would make the bass sound better. And I said to him, and I'll say it to you as an educational point, that masking goes both ways, really. If you have too much low frequency, it doesn't matter if there's individual drivers crossed over, taking care of, it's just like a car or home audio. If you've got separated crossed over drivers that are dedicated to the mid frequency or the treble, but you've got a ton of bass, it's the same as being in a car and turning up the subwoofer. You just can't hear them. They're there, they're doing the job, they're doing it well, they're all crossed over, they're time corrected, everything's fine, but the bass is way too powerful. And in headphones and in IEMs, it's the same thing. If you have a set that is kind of bass light and it's got upper mids. If you push up the upper mids and you leave the bass the way it is, you're going to kind of bleed in the opposite direction. You're going to make the harmonics step up way more, and that doesn't bring out the low frequency more. That brings the harmonics of all of the stuff, and there's more other things going on. So if you're tuning for bass, you don't leave the bass where it is if you're trying to make it louder, and up the upper mids to improve the quality of the bass. It really doesn't work that way. There's something called the missing fundamental. That's a different topic. But yeah, the Volume S, and in general, if you have a bass type of tuning and you want to increase that bass, you would be advised to play with EQ in that region. And maybe because of that adjustment, you might make some adjustments to other parts of the frequency, but you wouldn't start with the upper mids region to improve the quality of a mid bass that you found to be insufficient in its quantity, its amplitude relative to the rest of the tuning. That's not how that would work. I just thought I would bring that up. That seems to be common sense, but a lot of people are new to the hobby. If you're trying to improve a certain section, you start with that section, and then if that damages other things, then you move along. EQ is really a spider web. You get caught up in it, so that's why I don't play with it. When you push that up, you're adding, it's a digital DSP, it's distortion being added a lot of the time, particularly in the low end, and then you've got to compensate for that by putting up other areas because you can't hear them as clearly. So then you start doing lots of stuff, and people have PEQs with like 12 settings. So you've got to do a lot of stuff because just doing half of it creates a different problem, and then so you've got to compensate for your new compensation. But that's kind of a rant, and I just told you that I wasn't wasting your time, and yet I did it. Do I like the Kiwi ears? Let me rank it. I like its build quality. I like its open back. I like the look. It's strong in the hand. I've got this is nice. And this just came out like, and they made a little clip thing that made this better, but it's just super ghetto all the way around. And then we take something like the Sennheiser, and it's actually louder than, so Kiwi ears is getting into the game. They're a good brand. I'm glad they're in it. Hope it was free. For somebody in the comments below this video, it will be a free set. Coping is working. Excuse me, I hate doing that on video. Sorry, it's influenza season over here. It kind of, I guess, in a way. I want to support Kiwi ears, but they've got several headphones coming out, and while the first one, the Division, just nailed it for me because it's a daily usage. It's a EDC. I don't carry it. It sticks to my other PC that's behind me that I've like a Chase Lounge, and I lay down on it and I just watch stuff and upload graphs and do casual stuff. This is only for reviews. I don't even use this for anything else, just for safety reasons to protect my channel. I don't do anything over here. But I use the Division every single day. I bring it over to this table because it was at the other desk 2 hours ago. So I love the Division. The Ellipse is more of a podcast set, or a set where people like a tuning that's more stable, less bass, definitely, but then you've got the upper mids, which I guess some people, there's a lot of sets that are kind of tuned like that. So kind of there's some coping there. Competes with its peers. I'm going to say yes, even though it's not my thing, because it's about $60, $60, $70, and I think that there's some sets out there, I don't know what the Void was, maybe it's $40 or $50, that just don't really have a reason to exist. And I think that another Kiwi ears is coming out, which is a wood one, and maybe that's going to split the middle and have a little bit more bass than the Ellipse, and maybe a little more upper mids, and then there's the sweet spot. So if I were to say, oh, this is great too for some other, you diminish your own rec when you say everything's great, or you try to find the positive in it instead of just saying this isn't my thing, but it's probably for somebody else, because everything's not great. Build quality is fantastic. I love the look of it. It's very easy to handle. The cable's very nice and strong. I didn't have any microphonics with it. You might be able to do some stuff to get a little bit more bass, like EQ. I think it's worth its money. So I would say it competes with its peers. I wouldn't personally buy it because I know that the division exists and it's perfect for what I like. And interestingly enough, this is 50 mil and that division is 40. But it's got that bass and that little cut notch, which is, I'm not sure what they're doing there. I'm not going to open it up because I listened to it. So competes with its peers. I'll leave it at that. I appreciate Kiwi's ears. I did a collaboration with them, full disclosure, at the Punch, which I thought the process went smooth. It came out exactly the way that I wanted it to. I don't want to glaze on them too much. The division is my thing. I think you can look at the graph and that makes a lot of sense. And then this is less so, but there's an audience for this and we'll see what that is. So I've gone way too long in a video. I said I wasn't going to go long and said I was mastering the stream of thought and then just totally blew it. Yeah, you know, okay. And I'm out. I'll see you guys in a couple days. Don't forget to comment below, subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, please, if you can. It's free and easy and it helps the channel. And I'm much appreciative. Thank you very much. And I'm out.